Welcome back to the Transaction Care Podcast. I am your host and resident care coordinator, Lillian Hernandez, but you can call me Lilly, like the flower, because we are learning and growing together. My goal with each episode is to demystify the business of real estate and leave you empowered to start your journey today. So, as you see from the title of this episode, we have a very special guest in the hot seat today. It's going to be a fun conversation. We're going to dig deep in the mental health space and realm of things, the business world, and we're going to, spend a little time getting to know him and how he got here in general. So David BRECKHEIMER is my special guest, and let's just jump straight into it. Let's not waste any more time. Tell us a little bit about your history. How did you get into real estate, and why real estate in the first place?
Well, first of all, I'd rather just talk about you. But Lilly, thank you. Thank you for this. I know that we're coming up on 1 year anniversary for you, so I want to congratulate you first.
Thank you.
BRECKHEIMER's a punk. Nobody wants to hear about this guy. So the deal is I want to thank you because it has been an amazing year. You've had some amazing guests on. It's people that I have a real heart for, a lot of love for, and they didn't just share information, but I think they came and they were willing to be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
They were willing to open up their hearts. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. So I want to thank you for what you have made available, and that people will still probably be listening to a year, 2 years, 3 years, on your 3-year and 5-year anniversary. Some of these episodes will still hold real value for people. So I just want to thank you.
Oh, thank you. I received that wholeheartedly. I really appreciate those kind words. And yes, it's 1 year anniversary. Thank you guys for supporting and listening. And there was no other guest I had in mind to, kind of wrap up this season of things. And I'm really excited about our conversation because I think the topics that we're going to get into are more important than the actual business of things, right? And maintaining our mental health and such. But again, so I see you have a background in mortgage and in real estate. How did we get to Cultivating Wins? How did we get there?
So first of all, it started back in 97, and it was just someone, whatever, thought enough of me to recruit me into the mortgage industry. It was someone I had worked with in a different industry, and he moved over to mortgages and said, "BRECKHEIMER, you got to be kidding me. You'd kill this." And so I came over to the mortgage industry. I'll say he was an amazing salesperson. He could have told me anything, any career, and I probably would have gone into it. I mean, he was just very influential to me. So that was fine. So I went into the mortgage business, and I got to be honest, I absolutely fell in love with the industry. And when I say industry, I kind of lump mortgages, title, real estate, TC work, all of that into one big industry. And I actually legitimately just kind of fell in love with the industry. Now, with that, I worked for 3.5 years in the mortgage industry, and I was doing a lot of mortgages for buyers. And if I'm doing a lot of mortgages for buyers, that means that I was working with a lot of agents. Working with agents, some of them were nights and weekend warriors. This was a part-time job for them. Some of them were doing it full-time. And I'm a different human being today in my 50s than I was back in 97. But back in 97, there was a little bit of ego involved. And I'm looking at these agents going, "You got to be kidding me. I could do this in my sleep better than they do. I could be more professional than they are. I could know the business more than they do. I could be more ethical, and I could do all of that in my sleep better than what I'm seeing on the other side of these transactions." Now, because of that, I said, "I'll go get my license." And so I went and got my license, and I started doing both real estate and mortgages. And at some point, because my marriage means way more to me than any career, is I'm not working more than 40 hours, period. And we can talk more about that later.
Yes.
And I'm not convinced that any small business owner needs to be working more than 40 hours a week to achieve whatever goal that they want. Don't tell me that you got to work 60, 70 hours to be making a large 6-figure income, because I'm just not going to buy it. Okay. And I would love to get in that dialogue with someone, because now we're playing. Now it's just the creative world. Let's get creative. What would that look like? Okay, you're doing it in 60 or 70. Let's get creative and have fun. When you see guitars behind me and basses, it's about that creative, it's almost that artistic part of me is I want to hear a problem that you can't figure out how to do it in less than 60 to 70 hours. What if I could show you how to do it in less than 40? And that allows me to be creative. I love being creative. So I went into this industry and I saw that it wasn't just business. It was actually an opportunity for me to exercise my creative muscle.
Yes.
Huge to me. That was huge to me.
I love that.
So when I was looking at both real estate and mortgages, I had to decide between the two. And I chose real estate and never went back to mortgages again. So in real estate, I ended up with a niche of for sale by owners. Loved them, loved them, loved them, loved them, loved them. It's still a huge passion of mine. And I had a whole different approach than anybody I'd ever heard in the industry. And that brought me quite a bit of success. And I was able to close 100 homes per year with no team, no admin, no nothing, all that other kind of stuff. And I didn't know that was weird. I had no idea because I'm new in the business.
And you're just going. It's coming natural to you.
And I was just very purposeful.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing was by accident, period. Nothing was by accident. Everything I did was very purposeful. But you can't kind of start producing like that in your first 3 years of business and then you don't get a little bit of attention and people are like, hey, how'd you do that? Hey, so you start getting asked.
Yes.
So without wanting to be a coach, without wanting to be a trainer, without wanting to be any of that, you kind of become it by default. Because if you have a heart to share, it's not like I just don't understand competition. It's never going to resonate for me. I just don't understand it. So there is no there's enough business out there for everybody. Absolutely. So if someone wanted to know what I was doing, I know this. I can teach it, and 98% of them aren't going to do anything with it anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're not going to apply it. They may have the heart and think they're going to, but if they find out it's harder than what they think, it's different than what they think, they're not going to apply it anyway. So I didn't mind sharing. And then anybody who does do it is, let's just be honest, I don't consider that competition. There's plenty of, and there always has been, there always will be plenty of business out there.
Yes.
So I always didn't mind sharing that information. So that's kind of where the whole journey started, where it's all of a sudden, now I'm answering questions and helping people. So kind of training and coaching, all that kind of stuff happened in my mid to late 20s, whether I kind of wanted it or not. Mm-hmm. And I just found a real passion for it. So that's always kind of been, at least since my mid to late 20s, the coaching, training, consulting part has kind of been there, and I'm 52 today. Wow. So it's kind of been there that whole time. So It's kind of like I almost don't remember a career where that wasn't part of it.
Got it.
And then eventually ended up becoming a broker. Loved being a broker, having teams, and all that kind of stuff, and helping other people build their small business. Because I don't see agents as agents. I see them as small business owners that happen to provide real estate as a service. So I've always seen myself since my late 20s as working with small business owners. I never saw it as agents, and I certainly don't see it in my coaching career today. I don't think of independent TCs as TCs.
Right.
If you wake up in the morning and you identify as a TC, we have a problem.
Right.
You're not a TC. You're a small business owner that happens to provide transaction management as a service.
100%.
So my head has just kind of been there since the late 20s. I almost don't know how to think otherwise, because it's been, that's just kind of the way my head has worked all those years. And so then, I'll just skip way ahead. Now most people who know me and have known me through my career know that it's pretty rare that anybody would ever be able to say, oh, no, I've seen BRECKHEIMER work hard, and by hard translate that to mean 50, 60, 70 hours a week. Mm-hmm. I'm freakishly efficient.
Yes.
I'm freakishly purposeful.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm telling you right now it's almost a game, an art or something to me to say, I never, ever, ever want to hear from anybody, because I just won't relate to it unless they're willing to get into a genuine dialogue with me. Okay, because if I can be convinced otherwise, so be it. But I heard too many people in my career say, We will do whatever it takes to get it done. And the problem for me is this. That's not what they mean.
Right.
It never has been. Nobody finishes that sentence. The full sentence is this. We will do whatever it takes to get it done at any cost. That's the full statement. And the cost is almost always one of two things, if not both. The cost is their mental health, or the cost is relationships.
Always.
And because of that, I grew up struggling with mental health. I had pretty severe mental health issues. Number two is when I entered my first brokerage, I'd be probably underestimating if I said that probably 70% of the people in that office had gone through a divorce.
It's real.
And had been remarried multiple times or were divorced. And here's the deal is, I married my hot high school sweetheart. And I didn't want anything to do with that.
Yeah.
Divorce. And so it was always about, okay, so I want this. I want to create this. And the question and the statement was never, what would it, not I'll do whatever it takes to whatever achieve this goal. It was always, okay, I want to achieve this. And how would that be done if I were to do it in 40 hours or less a week? Yeah. And because of that, that's where I got known for systems.
Yeah, that's
the transition for me in my career is people are like, I don't get how you're getting so much out of so little, or so much out of so little time, or so much out of spending so little on tools and toys and whatever it is. And so I became known for systems. Yeah. And that was a big transition for me, because I think what I did, I kind of assumed everybody was doing. They were always looking, how do I do it better? How do I do it more efficient? Because to me, that's just common sense. You'd think that. But some people were just willing to work more and work harder and work longer.
Taking the long way instead of, like you said, creating the systems. And that I actually want to get into that. I want to talk about your 5x5 core principles, right?
Yeah.
And
that's everything.
Yeah. So it's the first 5 being that everything we build must be scalable, duplicatable, freakishly predictable, effective, and efficient. So
those are non-negotiables. Okay.
Right.
Non-negotiables. When you are building a system, I'm going to say 2 things. Number 1, when you're building a system, and I think what not enough of us do is regularly audit. Okay. So you got to audit your systems for effectiveness. So whether I am building a new system or I'm auditing an existing system, it's always audited against, filtered through, and informed by those 5. Is what we're doing, is it scalable? Is it duplicatable? Is it freakishly predictable? And is it efficient and effective? And I don't care if it's scalable, duplicatable, freakishly predictable, and efficient, but it's not effective. It's got to be all 5.
Absolutely.
It can't be 4 out of 5. It can't. It absolutely can't. And so if it is all of those 5, then it also must then hit the second criteria, which it must also create for ourselves and everybody we interact with. That's non-negotiable. It's not, it just is this next 5 things for our customer. It has to be for the person that's using it. It has to be for the team also. It has to be, and it has to be informed by and create peace, contentment, joy, and be fully informed by gratitude and compassion. It has to be.
It has to be.
It has to. And when I say, and I'll just use one example so people know what I mean by that, because there are people in the business world that some are very technical. So they get scalable, duplicatable, freakishly, all that kind of stuff. Okay. But they may be like, I don't even get what you're talking about with systems. And now you're talking about peace and contentment and joy. All this other garbage,
Well, two of my personal favorite words are joy and gratitude. The third one being fun. And you have touched on that beautifully, especially by mentioning, incorporating the guitars and pieces of you, because I
Yes.
don't think business and personal should completely be that separate. I think we should, like you said, in collaboration, not just with people, but with ourselves and where we show up in the world, right?
So know your core principles. Your core concepts and principles should work just as well in your business as they should in your personal life.
Mm-hmm.
So the statement that I use for myself is that who I am sometimes is who I am all the time.
Yes.
Who I am sometimes is who I am all the time. I can't be one person at work and then I leave work and I flip a switch and I'm something else for my wife. That's freaking exhausting.
Oh, I can't
I don't
imagine.
have the time of day for that kind of garbage. Okay.
Right.
So let's dive into something that you just said is one of your favorite words. Okay. So
Yeah.
you said joy.
Yes.
Okay. So here's how I look at joy. And it may be different than the way you look at it. And it might
Right.
be the same, but it's a fun conversation. Okay.
Absolutely.
Talk to me about joy from your perspective.
Yeah. So,
Why is that one of your favorite words, or what does it mean for you?
yeah. So I feel like I recently discovered what true joy actually means. I think I was always chasing happiness in a
Okay.
sense,
Okay.
versus joy to me is like being fully present and immersed in the moment. Like right now, talking to you is bringing me joy because
Mm-hmm.
it's rooted in something that, in an idea that was not only bigger than me, but it's a chance to get to know someone else. It's a chance to learn and grow. And these are all things that I need to feed my soul.
Yeah.
And that brings me joy. Sitting with my she's now 3-year-old niece and just watching her play for 10 minutes is guaranteed joy because it's unfiltered, it's unpredictable. It's always going to be a good time, and joy is just that pure, just love for life and self. And
So there's a statement that changed my life. And I don't mean this figuratively. I mean on a very literal basis, it changed my life. And it is Les Brown. Okay.
oh yes.
Yeah, Les Brown basically states this, and it's an hour-long talk that anybody can find on YouTube, or you can go to my YouTube channel, and I've stolen the 55 seconds that this comes from. I put it on my YouTube channel, and
I'll
it's
put
got
it in the
thousands of views.
description of this episode. I'll make sure
Because
to put it in the description.
I'm telling you, those 55 seconds changed my life upside down. This is still about joy. He said, I'll never forget it. And I live by this still to this day. I'm still doing this to this day. And I heard this back when I was 19.
Oh wow.
Okay. So I'm 52 now. So put that in perspective.
Right.
I have literally listened to this, and I'm not being figurative at all, thousands of times.
Wow. And
These
most,
55
and if
seconds.
you think about it, most 19-year-olds, at least when I was 19, I'm not hearing pivotal things and it triggering me to change, so I can
Okay.
only imagine what
But I was in deep depression and I was suicidal.
wow.
I was wanting to hear something or needing to hear
Needed
something.
it. Yeah.
I was ready to hear something. Okay. And luckily I heard it, because that could have been said and I could have totally missed it. But I did catch it. And that is this. He said, figure out what means so much to you. What is so, and I'm paraphrasing here, he says it 100 times better than I'll ever dream of saying it, is find something that you are so crazy passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I want you to do, whatever that topic, whatever that area is, I want you to read one book per month, one new book every single month on that topic without exception for 5 years. If you do that, you'll become top 5% expert in the world on that topic.
Wow.
And I heard that, and here's what I was missing. Why was I in depression? Why was I suicidal? All those other kind of, we don't need to dive into all that. But the fact is I did not have peace and contentment.
Mm-hmm.
So that became my topic. So
Wow.
I read for 5 years without exception. And I'm going to be honest, that's 12 books a year. and I averaged closer to 50 books.
Wow.
Okay. That's almost a book a week.
Yeah.
And it was about peace and contentment. Now, let's go back to your word, joy.
Joy.
I would challenge anyone, don't even do 50 books a year, do 12. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you did 12 books per year just on peace and contentment for 5 years, what gets thrown in your face, and I'll challenge anybody to tell me that this doesn't happen to them. If you studied peace and contentment for 5 years, 1 book per month, what will get thrown in your face is 3 more things. Read the book on peace and contentment, read all the books you can find, all the studies you can find, and you will get these 3 words thrown in your face nonstop: joy, gratitude, and compassion.
Yes.
Now go back and look at my 5x5. What is that second half of the 5x5? Peace, contentment, joy, gratitude, and compassion.
Yes.
Those didn't happen by accident. I've been studying that since I've been 19 years old, and still to this day, I'm probably averaging 30 to 40 books per year on those topics.
Wow.
And it's not new books.
Mm-hmm.
I don't read a book so that I can say, hey, I read a book. I read a book to look at its contents and say, does that make my reread list?
Yes.
That's what I care about. Is that book good enough that I would read it once a month or once a quarter or once a year for the rest of my life? Is it that good? Does it mean that much to me?
Right.
And that's what I've been doing since I was 19 on those 5 words. So it's beautiful. She's not here right now, but my hot wife, if she were to walk in right now and I didn't say anything and you said, what are his 5 key words? And she go, I'm not sure what you're talking about. You're talking about peace, contentment, joy, gratitude, and compassion? She could finish those for you.
Yeah.
She knows it. She's known it since we've been 19, and we've been together since I was 15.
Wow.
Okay. So that now joy, that's why I know what I know about joy. And here was probably my biggest revelation about joy. Okay. Now, see how you can apply this both personally and professionally. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is there's a lot of memes that have gone around for years, find what brings you joy and do more of it.
Yes.
Okay. I can't stand that thought process. And let me share with
Let's
you
get
why.
into it. Yeah. I'm curious.
Okay. I struggle with that thought process because of this. I think if we're honest with ourselves, the person that is struggling with joy is also struggling with other things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I can go on and on and on and on. But here's what I hear. Let's say I'm at the point that I'm overwhelmed. I'm depressed. I'm overwhelmed, whatever it is. My mental health is not at its peak. I'm not my best version of myself right now.
Joy is
and I hear
the furthest from what you want at that point.
100%.
Can't even see
and
it.
I can't even conceive joy at that point. And someone, I know that their intention is good, says, you need to find what brings you joy and do more of it. Here's the phrase that I hear: do more of it. So let's just say I find what brings me joy, spending more time with my family. Let's say traveling. Let's say anything. Okay. The thing I don't have right now is more time for anything in my life.
Right.
And you're telling me find what brings me joy and go do more of it?
Right.
Where am I going to fit that in? Where am I going to fit that in? Don't tell me to do more of anything, ever. Here's what I need. I need to be self-aware as to what is or what has the potential to steal my joy.
Mm-hmm.
I can deal with that.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, let's just say you're diluting something. Let's just say, and I know that we're on audio here rather than video, but I'm holding my hands up and I say that at this level, okay, this is how much joy I have. Mm-hmm. And this is what's stealing my joy.
Yeah.
If all I do is I deal with what has the potential to steal my joy, what's left over? what was bringing me joy in the first place. I don't need to find out what brings me joy and do more of it. I need to figure out what has the potential to steal my joy and actually deal with that and make sure that that doesn't exist anymore. So now take that into your marriage. Take that into your customers. What has the chance, if you're a TC, what has the chance, even the chance, to steal your agent's joy? What has the chance in any way, shape, or form to steal your buyer or your seller's joy?
Right.
How about build a freaking system that doesn't even make that possible? Whatever it was that could be stealing their joy, what if you built a system that took that into consideration so that that just doesn't even happen for them? Okay, what's the number one complaint we get from buyers and sellers about their agents? Lack of communication.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That steals their joy.
Yes.
What if I built
a
system where if I built a system where that's not even possible?
Mm-hmm.
Not even possible. Then look at my marriage. I'm not just about what brings my wife joy. Yes, I care about those things, but I am way more focused on what has the potential of stealing her joy.
Right.
Let's deal with that.
Right.
If that doesn't even exist, what's left over?
Exactly.
Joy.
Joy.
So I think a lot of times we focus on what brings us joy. And I'm not saying don't focus on that, but I don't hear enough people saying, when we talk about joy, let's start with one thing in mind. Let me ask you this, self-awareness. And I say self-awareness is my freaking superpower. Self-awareness. What is stealing my joy?
Yeah.
And get rid of.
Yeah, it's like a reverse engineering of sorts, you know?
Yeah.
And that's where it's like you going to go find that whatever brings you joy. Let's say it's playing the guitar, right? But it's like playing the guitar, but with a backpack of rocks still on your back.
100%.
And
What if you're working 60, 70 hours a week and you find that guitar brings you joy? Really? So go find what brings you joy and do more of it. When the frick do you have time to play more guitar? You are working nonstop. You got no time.
Right.
So it doesn't even, it's almost frustrating, no matter how helpful someone's trying to be, to hear someone say, find what brings you joy and do more of it. Just the fact that you said do more, you're stressing me out. You're overwhelming me. I'm already overwhelmed without your advice and without your help. Okay. Now, would I say that out loud to them? No, I would hug them and I know that they're saying it because they care. They genuinely care. But a lot of people say a lot of things because they care, but it doesn't mean it's good advice.
Right. I think I love your perspective on this because it really, even how you started your journey, how you saw, I could do it better than these people. You know, I want to incorporate this and that and collaboration. But it challenges a lot of the norms and the programming that we tend to just hold on to, and it goes beyond the surface. You know, I think a lot of your core values and principles and whatnot are a result of you digging deeper and
100%.
flipping things upside down. Because why not? I want to see that.
I studied it. I became a student, and I don't know how to say that any stronger. I became a student of peace, contentment, joy, gratitude, and compassion. And when I became a student, think of the earlier statement that we talked about, is who I am sometimes is who I am all the time. So it's impossible for me, because that's just who I am. I don't just study those things anymore. I embody those things.
Yeah, right.
Find what your core principle is and literally read one book per month for 5 years. I guarantee you by the end of 5 years, you'll be closer to being the embodiment of that principle than you will be just the student that's researching it. And so what I did is I wanted to become the student of it. Now, once you do that, as long as I've done it, it's hard for me to, I can't even separate that from, okay, now we're thinking about business and we're putting systems together. Well, the system has to create peace, contentment, joy, be fully informed by gratitude and compassion. It's like I can't even, it's almost like I'm incapable of kind of having a conversation about putting a system together, auditing a system without taking into consideration, asking simple questions like, okay, does this, now I'm just going to use one more example just so that we don't think we're just talking about the people that we serve.
Right.
Okay. I don't care if something takes care of the age, say as a TC, we have a system that ensures that the agent, if it has the opportunity to steal their joy, we've gotten that taken care of and it's built in the system, so it won't exist for them and it won't exist for the buyers and sellers and everything. But to achieve that, the TCs have to hate their life and hate their job and everything else like that because of what it takes to achieve that. That's not success.
Not at all.
That system has to produce, that's what I first said, was it has to produce for both me and everybody I interact with: peace, contentment, joy, gratitude, and compassion. So now I'm looking at, okay, so yes, it is scalable, duplicatable, freakishly predictable, effective, and efficient. It produces those 5 things for my clients, but my team hates their job.
Right.
That's not acceptable in any way, shape, or form. Okay. So you can see that I just have a hard time thinking outside of that 5 by 5. Now, why do I care about what steals their joy? Because I have compassion. And because I'm freakishly grateful that they're even trusting me with their business.
Exactly.
And if I can make sure that I'm aware of what steals their joy and I put a system in place where that doesn't happen, what do they get to experience? Joy, happiness, contentment, all those types of things.
Exactly.
So I hope that helps anybody who's never heard of the 5 by 5. I mean, that's in a nutshell kind of where it all came from. And it came from a young kid that was struggling. And at 19, I heard Les Brown say, what do you care, paraphrasing, what do you care so much about? So much about. You couldn't care more about it that you'd be willing to read one book per month for 5 years and become top 5%. That's where, and that was about peace and contentment.
Yeah.
And I don't want to keep talking because I want to hear your insight on this, but can I share one last thing on that?
Of course, go for it. Yeah.
This has nothing to do with whether anybody's religious or not religious. That's not the purpose of what I'm about to share in any way, shape, or form. It is a fact that you have to give a little bit of validity to a document that has been around for 2,000 years.
Right.
Okay. So the Bible is there, and whether anybody believes in God or not is not the purpose of this, is what I'm about to say. It's the fact is this one statement changed my life after the Les Brown thing. This one statement is about a character in the Bible. Let's even assume it was a made-up story. The point that's in these couple of verses has lasted thousands of years because the principle is strong. And what it is you have someone who's in prison, possibly on a death sentence. Okay. And what he says in there, now this is someone who believes in God, like nobody's business.
Right.
And he's there to defend Jesus and everything else like that. So there's no question that he believes that he has received great gifts from God and everything else like that. But he's in prison and he's about to be on a death sentence. And he says, I have learned. And he said, I have learned twice. That's the most important part to me of that verse that I never hear anybody talk about. He says, I have learned to have peace and contentment regardless of the situation or what I have and what I don't have and everything else like that. He didn't say, it's a freaking spiritual book. It would have been easy for all of us to accept if he says, I have peace and contentment because it's a gift from God. He didn't say that. It does not say that. It doesn't say that. It has never said that. He even himself says, I have learned. I'm like, whoa, wait, whoa, back up. Back the frick up.
Right.
This is a guy that almost gives credit to God for every gift that he has. But when it came to talking about peace and contentment, twice he says, I have learned, in sentences back to back. So I went, wait a minute. So peace and contentment is a learnable skill? Oh, what the frick? Are you kidding me?
Right.
That's what happened at 19. So I heard Les Brown and I read that verse different than I had ever learned it. And I'm like, wait a minute. He didn't say that he was gifted peace and contentment. He says, I have learned. And then it goes another sentence and he says, I have learned.
Yes.
So what I did at 19 is I turned everything that we consider a trait for people. You're outgoing, you're jovial, you're this, you're that, whatever it is. And we put these things as traits, like these natural traits or gifts that people have.
Right.
And maybe they have it and you don't. And at 19, I heard Les Brown, and then I read this scripture, and it says, I have learned. And I transferred my mindset to everything is, wait a minute. So pretty much everything is a learnable skill.
Mm-hmm.
So now I see joy as a learnable skill. I see compassion as a learnable skill. I see gratitude as a learnable skill. I see peace and contentment as a learnable skill. Everything's a freaking learnable skill. Now, will you learn it? Just depends on how much work you're willing to put into it.
Exactly.
Now think about what means so much to you that if I asked you if you knew for a fact you couldn't have it, you're not allowed to have it unless you studied it for 5 years, but after 5 years, you'd have it in spades.
Wow.
What would you commit 5 years to? So that's where my mindset comes from. And it comes from struggling at 19, not thinking I need to be here anymore.
Wow.
Nobody needs me here anyways.
Thank you, for sharing that part of your life with myself and the audience and the community, because life is tough, depending, it doesn't matter. It matters what part of, whatever you're experiencing in life, we're all going through big things, small things, but I'm just grateful, going back to gratitude, that you were able to hear that quote from Les Brown and apply it. And what I'm getting from this is, well, one, a huge sense of gratitude, right? Because that one moment changed your life, but as
Changed everything.
a result has now changed hundreds and thousands of lives through what you have built with Cultivate Wins. And housing such a
I appreciate you saying that.
And housing such a pure, like a safe space, ultimately, because it really comes down to embracing vulnerability, and how you flip the script on things has allowed you to see paths in life differently to help others. Because not once did you mention it was because I closed this many transactions, or is because I made this much amount of money. Who would ever, like, you are, if you really put a label on it, it's like you are a professional peacemaker in a sense. And people don't go to college to I'm going to be a peacemaker. I'm going to be the professor of joy. You know what I mean? And it's like, why can't we do that? Why can't we be that? And the money will just, I feel like it'll find you.
I will, okay, because you started this podcast mentioning mental health.
Yes.
So let's take everything that you just said, and I'm going to give one caveat.
Okay.
And warning, because this is what happened to me.
Okay.
And it's no fun to talk about, but I'll just say it, is I did all the work. I did the study.
Yes.
I learned like nobody's business. And then I really, really grew from that for a number of years and was in probably the best mental health place I've ever been for a number of years. And here's what happened, though. And this is just flat out, couldn't be more blunt about it, is how did I get to the best mental health place I've ever been in my life? I put the work in. I literally put the work in. Not kind of.
Committed.
Probably a little fanatically. Okay. I'm a little over the top. I get it. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and not everybody likes tea, and that's okay. Okay. So I'm a little bit over the top, but I knew that if I didn't put in the work and I didn't do all of the work and I didn't stay consistent with it, it's not like I read a couple books and then took 6 months off and then read a couple books. I was reading nonstop. I was learning nonstop. I went to every seminar on the topics I could find, everything. Okay. And I kept doing the work. And once I got to the best mental health place I'd ever been, I kept doing the work. I did not stop. But that only lasted so many years. And then what I did is I took it for granted that I was in the best place that I've ever been. And I stopped doing the work. And I went into a much, much worse and deeper depression.
Yes, I can see that.
And every night driving home from work, I was trying to figure out, how do I end this with as little ramification as possible on my family and everything else like that.
Wow.
And that lasted for about 18 months. And then I have no idea what triggered in me, but I'm like, wait a minute. I got out of this once by doing the work. So I went back to doing the work.
Oh, that's so powerful.
I went back to doing the exact same work, the exact same studies, the same books that I've already read.
Yep.
There's books on those shelves that I've read well over 30 to 50 times. Well, I mean, I know everybody here can't see it, but I've read most of these books dozens and dozens and dozens of times. So I went right back to what pulled me out before. And it was not about reading them. It was about reading them and saying, this is the part I will apply today, this afternoon.
Yeah.
This is the application that I will do today. This is the application that I will do first thing in the morning. This is the thing that I will apply after lunch. This is the thing that I will apply as I drive home. This is the thing that I will apply as the very first thing when I see my wife's look in her eye. This is the thing that I will apply today before I put my head on the pillow. It was all about application. And then this place that I thought I could never be in a better mental health space. And then I went, because I stopped doing the work.
Yeah.
I went back to doing the work. And that's the human you see today.
Wow.
Okay. So don't take for granted what gets you to where you're going and stop.
Wow.
I'm still doing the work.
The work does.
My wife will tell you right now, she'll go, you don't know anybody who works more on the topics of peace, contentment, joy, gratitude, and compassion, because she knows I'm not done. She knows that I'm convinced in my head that when I stopped doing it once, it took me way down. And I'm convinced I'm never going to give that an opportunity again. If I go down for any reason, it ain't going to be because I stopped.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So for anybody that's out there, know this is, if you're struggling with a mental health challenge, okay, get some help. Get some help. Get some real help. And then from there, once you get to the best health, mental health you've ever been, never take that for granted. Never, 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 never take that for granted, because you could be back there again.
Yeah.
What does it take for that to last the rest of your life? Because it's not just going to matter to you. It's going to matter to those that you touch, those that you're around every day, those that you love.
100%.
Yeah. So anyways,
Yeah.
I hope that helps someone out there. But that's a little more full disclosure on the story.
Thank you. Thank you again for sharing that, because, well, I am someone that it has helped. So if anything, I was listening. I had to remind myself I'm hosting a podcast right now and I still have to host. We are not in a coaching session, Lil. No, but this is great. This is such amazing information, because I actually went through something similar this past, I would say, the end of last year, coming into this year. And it didn't click again for me until probably my birthday's in April. So around the springtime, where I felt like I was so disconnected from everything and everyone. My mental health wasn't the best, but I was still just doing what I had to do, right? Just to get by. Because I was just like,
Yep.
What do I need to do? How do I pull myself out of this without having to scrap it all and start over? Because I don't feel like that's the solution. There's
Okay.
something I'm just lacking. And I took it back to the basics. My last podcast I dropped, I talked about bringing it back to the basics. And for me, I was like, I was no longer doing my morning routine. Like
Mm.
I
Yep.
wasn't giving myself at least an hour
Yeah.
to just be present and still with myself.
Yep.
And that includes just saying, first thing I say as soon as I wake up is thank you for another day, going back to gratitude.
Yeah.
If I can't have it the rest of the day, at least I had it for that first 5 seconds of my morning.
Yep.
Prayer, just all of my prayers is nothing but gratitude. So that's why I said that was one of my favorite words, because the world is going to attack us. So we
Yep.
have to shine light on the things that we are grateful for constantly, so we could have some sort of power in our day, in our life, and with this time. And even just, working out, whether it's a couple squats or going for a walk or playing basketball, and that's what brings me joy.
Yeah.
I've always been an athlete, but I hated the idea of having to go to a gym, having to pay for a trainer, having to do all these things when I already knew how to do all of that on my own. I just was like, I was just lacking the drive, the reason, like, how can I make this fun for myself? So what brought me joy? Basketball. So I just bought a basketball and just showed up to the park. And it just changed my whole mindset about physical activity, working out. So now I enjoy the process. And that's what it started to click. So when I wasn't doing any of these morning routine activities, that's where, like you had
Had an
that,
effect.
it had an effect. And I was like,
Yeah.
wait a minute. I haven't been doing my routine since I haven't been doing it consistently probably since my grandma passed away. And she was the reason I quit my job in
Yeah.
2018 to be self-employed and change my mindset and flip everything upside down. So when she was no longer in the picture, I was left completely on my own.
Yeah.
Not that I mean, I have a loving and supporting family and community, friends, friends and whatnot, but she was like the rock,
Yeah.
the physical representation of like
Yep. She's
my,
part of your foundation.
yeah. So when that left, I didn't realize how much I had, I guess you could say, spiraled. It's not that I turned to any like bad vices or whatnot, but it was more so in here. I didn't know what to
So
do without that.
think of what you're sharing, okay?
Mhm.
Because this also, because if it helps someone else, is there's a couple things that could happen there. So
Mhm.
let's just say you have a morning routine that's freakishly effective for
Yes,
you.
for me,
It
right.
helps you physically, it helps you mentally, it helps you spiritually, everything else like that. Now, I am huge on the power of the audit.
Oh,
Okay.
same. Not
The
just the file
power of the,
people, audit your life.
yeah, yeah. The power of the audit. So in your situation, someone could all of a sudden start getting a little bit looser, a little bit more relaxed on what that morning routine is, and eventually it's not there. And that has an effect on them.
Mhm.
And so the power of that audit, being self-aware that that's actually happening. Okay. Now the second one is this, and you see a lot of teams. So let's talk personal and business. We have a lot of teams that they create this routine, and it's amazing and it's great and it's effective, but they do it longer than they should because they're still doing it when it's no longer effective. So
Yeah.
say someone has a morning routine. You have to be willing to audit that morning routine and say, you know what? This was great for a season.
Yes.
And that season's come to an end. It's no longer as effective as it once was.
Mhm.
It's no longer as motivating. It's no longer as helpful. Can you do a self audit? Not just that I've kind of walked away from something. So that's with me at this point, with a lot of the studies I do and everything else like that. Sometimes it's so great to go back to where I started in the first books that I did in the studies and everything else like that. And then other times it's looking at the self audit and go, okay,
Mhm.
so now let me go ahead and research and try the next 2, 3, 4 books that I'll do. They're books that I've never read before.
Mhm.
Okay. So you've got to do a self audit and know not only what I care about is that not that someone's doing the work. Because before I said I did the work, I'm so unimpressed with people that just do work that means nothing,
Right.
that does work that's not effective. What I care about is whatever I'm doing, is it freakishly effective?
Yes.
How do I know that? By auditing it. Now,
Mhm.
there's going to be some people on this call, myself included at some point in my life, is the fact is they're not qualified to audit themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They need help.
Yeah.
Okay. They're not qualified to look at what they're doing from an outside perspective. Okay. Now, sometimes it's okay. You've got a friend, you've got a family member who can do that for you. Other people, they need to go seek professional help.
I completely agree.
And so that
Yeah.
self-audit, know where you are, and that little bit of, or a little bit of humility
Yes. Humility.
can literally save your life, save your spirits, save your soul, that you go get the help when you need help. That could be a friend, it could be a family member, it could be a coach, and it could be a professional. I mean, there are people that coach with me, hardcore. There are people that coach with me, and I let them know at this point, here are a couple things that I can help you with. But I'm telling you right now, you also need help, professional help on these areas.
Mm-hmm.
And they do. They go get an actual psychiatrist or psychologist, whatever appropriate for them. And they are in counseling based on the coaching that we've done. And they're like, I am so glad that you didn't try to overstep your bounds and become my psychologist. Come on, give me a break. Do I know a few things? You bet. Have I done some study? You bet. Am I a professional psychologist or psychiatrist? Not a freaking chance under God's green earth.
No way.
Okay. Know where your limits are, but also your own personal limits. Are you qualified to do your own self audit? And are whatever you're dealing with, when you do that self audit and you make changes, are you qualified to be your best accountability partner? Are you really? Are you really?
Mm-hmm.
Now, sometimes an accountability partner can just be a workout partner, a friend, a family. Sometimes it needs to be a professional. That's okay. And it may not be for the rest of your life, but whatever it is, that might be a season that you have to consider going into.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up because I definitely make sure I'm in the best way challenging myself,
Mm-hmm.
and going back to the fundamentals had to be what it used to look like. But recognizing, okay, well, I could just go play basketball, but now I want to work on, and I'm just using basketball as an example, but
Mm-hmm.
now I want to get better at my dribbling. So let me look up some dribbling exercises or drills, that I could do. Or I know when I was struggling a couple years ago after my grandma passed on what direction I wanted to take my career, I hired a coach. And I
Mm-hmm.
never worked with the coach. I didn't understand what coaching was for. I just said, hey, I want to make this much money a month. And to full transparency, I have not made that much money. I did not hit the financial goal, but
Yeah.
emotionally, mentally, spiritually, all of the things, even physically, because I'm, now more eager to do these things,
Yep.
but seeking that professional help, challenging
Yep.
myself. Like at that point in my life, I wasn't able to fully self-audit.
You may not have hit the financial goal, but your coach potentially has put you in a better
Position.
starting place. Yeah, you're in
Exactly.
a better position now than you were before. If not, then you would have chosen. It's okay. I might be the perfect coach for someone, but guess what? I might not be either. Same
Right.
thing with your situation. If they hadn't put you in a better position than where you started to achieve whatever you think, because sometimes when they put you in a better position than you were when you started, all of a sudden you relook at your goals, and what
Oh,
you thought were your goals don't even closely resemble
right. Because I
what your
wouldn't have
current goals are now.
exactly because I
Okay?
wouldn't have enjoyed
Otherwise, you go to a different coach.
exactly. And I wouldn't have enjoyed, let's say I did hit the financial goal the first 3 months.
Yep.
Looking back at where I was, I wouldn't have enjoyed it because I wasn't doing work I enjoyed.
Yeah.
It would have just been money. Whereas now my value for life what is no longer rooted in that financial number. There's no doubt that I can get that, but now it's redirected in peace, contentment, joy, gratitude, and compassion, essentially.
100%.
You
I mean, what
know?
would it look like if someone achieved their financial goal in 3 months, but realized that they were working 20 hours more than what they'd been working before? Did you accomplish? Do a self audit. Be honest with yourself. Is that
Exactly.
really what you wanted that to look like?
And it didn't. It didn't. You know, and I want to touch base again on not having to work 40 hours a week. You
Yeah.
know, we talked about that briefly in the beginning, but I'm one of the first books I read when I was on my journey of doing the work. And this was when I was still working a 9 to 5, and I was walking and taking the bus to work instead of driving. I turned off the radio, stopped playing my music, and was listening to podcasts, started reading books. And one of the first books I read, I might even reread it today because I don't know if it would still apply, but was The 4 Hour Work Week. And it wasn't like,
I was almost going to be disappointed if that's not the book that came out of your mouth. Okay.
right?
I'm
I
like,
feel like
gosh,
that's
I hope she says 4 hour work week.
because it for me at that point, I think I had just turned 30. I'm 39 today. So imagine this is like a decade's worth of work that I'm still doing. Like you said, it's ongoing. It doesn't stop. And I love it. I'm obsessed with it as well.
Yeah.
But the 4 hour,
I'm fairly fanatical too.
yeah, I can't help it. I love it. It's like that and just wanting to help people. So I'm morphing the two together. But it was the 4 hour work week that really started to get my gears going and just like seeing work and life not as a balance, but as a from a different point of view, a different perspective that I wasn't considering, because growing up it was go to school, get a good education, get a good job, the standard, right? But to me, I've always been that kind of shy but rebellious kid that always challenged the norm, even though I was a very quiet kid. And I think a lot of my quietness was because I was so unimpressed with people's ways of living, I guess. And I was born into an unconventional family dynamic, but it was more so, I think, to my benefit, if anything, because I wasn't seeing the cookie cutter way of living, teen mom, dad from a different country, Mexican, Samoan, I was just born into all these different worlds. So I was already born with like, let me go left while everyone's going right. The whole don't be a lead, be a leader, not a follower mentality. And I always had that. So when I read the 4 hour work week, I said, wait a minute. Wait a minute. It didn't seem possible at the time, but if anything, it just changed my perspective. So how did you come about that whole mindset of you don't have to work 40 hours a week to be quote unquote successful? Because obviously success is subjective, but the 40-hour work week just seems ridiculous at this point in my life. But not everyone's ready to hear that.
Before we hear about my perspective, okay, I'm going to stick with you for a minute.
Okay.
If I could, I'd turn this whole thing for an hour and just ask you a bunch of questions too, and your mindset on things.
Feel free.
But here's, it's a bit of a statement, but I want to know your perspective of whether you think this statement has validity, and if so, why do you think this is true? And that is, the book, The 4 Hour Work Week, simply does not resonate with some people. Absolutely does not.
Right.
Okay. And I've talked to people that it doesn't. Now, did it resonate with me? Oh, heck yeah. How many times have I read it? I have no idea, but it's more than 2. Okay. It's a lot. Okay. And it's one that I used to be very, very anti audiobook. Now I'm very pro audiobook. And because on my rereads, I really like to do the audio, whether I'm taking a shower, driving, or whatever else like that. I treat them almost as podcasts. Okay. Yeah. So yes, I'll admit it definitely resonated with me, but I think there's a lot of people it still doesn't resonate with. If that were true, why do you think that is? I mean, I have my opinion why, but why do you think that book may not resonate with some people?
Where I stand with that, is people are in survival mode constantly.
Okay.
And I don't think they have the tools to get out of survival mode. So for someone to come to them with this outlandish idea of You don't have to work 40 hours. You could work 4 and get the same amount of work done.
It's not only a foreign concept, but it's so far removed from
So
where the reality is. Is that kind of what
exactly.
you're saying?
I think so. I think from my perspective of who I grew up around, and then the environments that I was put in, not growing up in the safest of neighborhoods, and then seeing people, you know, get caught up in the lifestyle of drugs and alcohol, and even letting their mental health, not letting, even their mental health kind of overtaking their life, and that being,
Sure.
who they were. So I think it's difficult for that to resonate, because you have to be ready. You have to prepare yourself, and choose a different path.
Yeah.
If I was just reading that for fun, I would have read it and put it down and never looked back at it, never let it, never process it, anything. But because I was willing to now play offense instead of always be on defense, at
Mm-hmm.
AKA survival mode,
Yep.
I wanted to start building my armor,
Mm.
figuratively and physically, if
Yep.
and when I read that book, I was ready for a change. I was ready for something different. I wanted to hear different perspectives, because I was always challenging myself and questioning, like, there has to be more to life than just pushing papers.
Mm.
Like, this can't be it, not just for me, but for people in general. I feel like we have so much more to offer the world, life, our
Not
families,
just
our home,
papers, but pushing papers for many, 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 many hours,
for
40,
many,
50.
many, many hours. Right. And why do I need to have all these closings? Do I even want this much money? Do I want, but going back to the 4-hour work week, I think the concept is so drastic for someone
Yep.
that it just isn't there yet.
So I'm going to agree with everything that you said and then add an additional perspective to that. Okay. Because I
Absolutely. Yeah.
totally agree with that. I totally agree that it's, first of all, it is definitely a foreign concept to some people.
Mhm.
Some of that is because they've never seen it. They've never actually seen someone do that. They never grew up in that environment, anything else like that. There's nothing that they can look at and point their finger at and go, yep, I've seen that done. So that
Exactly.
becomes a very realistic thing. I think it's very removed not only from what they have experienced. Second, kind of what you had said, it also might be just so freakishly far removed from what their actual reality is.
Mhm.
Okay. Here's the second or the third thing then is I would say people are too literal.
Yes.
People are way too freaking literal.
Yes.
Here's the thing is I can take that, or I'll just grab a book off my desk. I mean, I could grab any of these books.
You
I
grab
could do Start with
you grab
Why
you just grabbed the book that changed my life last year.
right there.
I
Okay.
talk about
So
that
it's
book all the time. Go
for
ahead.
those that are just listening to audio, I
The
just
video will
randomly
be up at
grabbed
some point.
called the 12-week year.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to use the 4-hour work week and this. I'm going to tell you why I think a lot of people get inspired by those books. And then from there, they never do anything with it. The application still is not there 3 years from now. It just flat out isn't. Okay. And the fact is because the concepts, they're extreme.
Mhm.
Okay. When you talk about the 12-hour, or I mean, I'm sorry, the 12-hour work week, the 12-week year. Okay. The fact is there is a lot in this, a freakish amount. And if you're going to do the whole system, I'm going to be honest, anybody not doing this system and trying to do the full system, I guarantee you after 1 to 2 quarters, you will not be doing it anymore. You just absolutely won't. Okay. It's too overwhelming. You're trying to jump from the couch to a marathon in a week.
Yeah,
Give
it's
me a freaking break. I
not
mean, you
realistic.
may be a better human than I am. You may be more talented than I am. But if you can take something that is so freakishly far removed from where you are, and it's a whole new concept, a whole new skill set, this requires a bunch of new skill sets. Okay. And you can just automatically turn a switch because you read a book and you can go from working 40, 50, 60 hours a week down to 4. You're a freak of nature. You're just a freak of nature. Now, if you can go from doing annual planning and not even doing it very well to all of a sudden you read the 12-week year and now you're the best 12-week planner that's ever existed on this planet, you are a freak of nature. I think people need to grant themselves some freaking grace.
Grace, you took the words right out of my mouth.
Gosh dang, grant
Ease
yourself
up, people. Ease up.
Yeah, keep it up. And here's what I would say. When you take a look at something like the 4-hour work week, you take a look at the 12-week year. I mean, I got a whole stack of books here that I could say the same stuff about. So I'm just trying not to get off track here and go through a dozen books, but let's just say those 2 books, okay? Here's the thing is think about this, is what could you do? And this is what I do personally. I audit everything I do quarterly, okay? Mm-hmm. Or every 3 months, 12 weeks, whatever you want to call it, okay? And what I do is say, because if I take anything as a whole, even take, because I know that some of the people listening to this will be transaction coordinators, okay? Even taking a system, because when we're talking about doing a 4-hour work week or a 12-week year, we're talking about systems that we have built, mindsets, systems, processes, everything, okay? And we're looking at building a system and a thought process that will actually create those results, a 4-hour work week, okay? Here's the thing is, same thing with contract to post-close. I would never allow myself to say, because it's freaking overwhelming to me, is, man, I really need to work on my systems. What systems? My transaction systems. Are you kidding me? If you can say that and that doesn't overwhelm you, you are a freak of nature and you're a better human than I am. Okay? Because that's 50 to 100 tasks. You're overwhelming me just thinking about it. If I'm doing 100 transactions simultaneously and each one has 50 to 100 tasks, how many tasks is that? Come on. That's starting from a place of overwhelm. That's unrealistic. So what do? I break everything down into smaller parts. So for a transaction, contract to post-close, I break it down into 5 parts. What's our opening process? What's our inspection process? What's the title and finance process? What's the pre-close and what's the post-close? And I will not work on all 5 of those simultaneously. I'll say it's a new quarter. Yep. And of those 5, which one of those has earned my attention for next quarter? It has to earn my freaking attention. So if it earns my attention, here's what I'm looking for. And this is the number. You can wake me up in my sleep and I'll give you this number, okay? Which is, okay, so now I'm just going to work on the opening process. For that opening process, how would I get 30% improvement, 30% efficiency? I'm only looking for 30. And I ain't even doing 30% on each one of the 5 categories. I'm doing it on one freaking category. Break things down into smaller parts so they don't become overwhelming, and don't try to go from, I need it to be 100 times better. I just need it to be 30% better. Okay. So when I look at the 4-hour work week and you look at every example that he gave, that he outsourced this and did this and did this, some of them are like, this isn't even realistic. I don't even have the money to outsource these things.
That's where I was when I first read it. I was like, how am I going to afford this? But
yes, they take it so literal that not only when they even heard the concept when they first started, it was a little unbelievable. And then they dive in and read it, and it didn't become more believable. It actually became less.
Yeah.
It became less because they think, okay,
this is it. Cookie cutter.
No, assume what, and I asked this question earlier, and I asked this question a lot. The number is usually 3 to 5. If you knew for a fact that if you did a specific thing, that you would have the result that you desired and better, but you wouldn't receive it for 3 years, would you do the work anyways for those 3 years? There are certain things, mental health, it was 5. Where did I come up with 5? Because that's what frickin' Les Brown told me. I didn't come up with that. It might not even be accurate. I could care less. That's what I was told. That's what I did, and it worked for me.
It's your number. It's your number. Everything 5.
It's totally my number. Thank you, Les Brown. Okay, I'm a better human for it. But here's the thing: is I think sometimes when people read those books, number one, they try to bite off more than they can chew too quickly. Grant yourself some freaking grace and grow into these concepts. That's one thing. The second thing, I think sometimes we read a book, we hear a talk, people might hear some of this stuff here, and this literally happened to me, but you'll listen to it and you might say this. And I'm going to tell you what I said to myself when I said this, which is this: you know what? I love their heart. They're great. They're great humans, blah, 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 blah. But, it just doesn't resonate with me.
Mm-hmm.
I used to care whether things resonated with me when I was younger. I used to really care. I looked for things that resonated with me. I literally looked for things that resonated with me. Okay. Now I consider that a high level of immaturity.
Wow.
Here's the situation is I'm not done growing.
Right.
I don't grow by finding things I resonate with. I grow by listening to something and say, I don't resonate with that, but should I? That's where I grow when I ask the question, but should I? So when you read a book like that, you read a book like the 12-week year, you read a book like the 4-hour work week, it may or may not resonate with you, but should it?
Mm.
Okay. Now, where did I find that? At a young age, I thought I wanted to be a pastor, priest, whatever you want to call it. Okay. And I'm listening to a sermon. And I used to like or not like a pastor or a priest or anything else like that based on whether I liked their message or not.
Oh, wow.
I always listened and I either resonated with it or I didn't. And at a younger age, I cared about whether it resonated with it or not.
Mm.
I cared. I wanted to find every pastor I could listen to that I resonated with because it inspired me. So what ended up, there was a period in my life where I changed and I said, I'm more interested in the sermons I don't resonate with, because what I will do is I will take notes on everything that they said. I will write down every scripture verse. Then I will go back and I will put the freaking work in. I will do the study and ask this, okay, I don't resonate with it, but should I? And I will look at the verses and say, should I resonate with that? And I will cross-reference all the verses. I will do the work to see, should I have resonated with that? Because if I should have, that means I still have room to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at 19, I am today. I care more, not about where I am, but I'm not done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still doing the work. I still care to hear about things that are beyond me.
Yes.
Willing to grant myself some freaking grace that it's beyond me, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. Now, if I want it bad enough, what do I already know? Because I already have a history of it. If I want it bad enough, if I'm willing to listen to the right people, get the right education, do the right studies, do the right work, that 5 years from now, if I want it, I could have it. Now I just have to decide, is it worth the next 5 years?
Yes.
And so there's two things about that. And I will give these words, and anybody who wants to write them down, put them on a post-it on your laptop. The two words that means for me is this. Number one, humility. Have a little freaking humility.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to me. Okay. Have humility. And number two, have some patience.
So key.
You want to change, you want to grow, you want to succeed, but you need to succeed by next month.
Like you
Okay.
said, it's like going from the couch to a marathon. It's unrealistic.
Yeah. Grant yourself some freaking grace, have a little humility, and have some patience.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say there's one guy that talks about patience constantly in business that I did not resonate with for years. I'm admitting I couldn't resonate with him if my life depended on it. And now I love him. Okay. Because I stopped asking if I resonate with him. And that was Gary V. Gary V.
Oh, I knew you were going to say his name. I knew it. I knew you were going to
Anybody
say
who knows me knows I'm almost incapable of swearing. It's just not my gig. Okay. I say frick all the time. I can't say the F word, and stuff like that. So be it. That's just who I am. So listening to him, if you don't swear, it's a lot to swallow. He's got language coming out left, right, center. Okay. And here's the thing is, because of the way he talks, I couldn't hear what he was saying for years.
Because you had your guard up. You had this vision or this idea.
What did I care about? What did I care about? I cared about whether I resonated with him. Please, Louise.
Yeah.
How much wisdom does that guy have to share? What do I care if I resonate with the way he delivered it or not? I needed to hear some of the things that he was saying. And what I cared about is, are there things that he is saying that I'm not listening to and I'm not taking advice from? Should they resonate with me. And I've learned a ton from him. He would be a good example of someone that I absolutely did not resonate with in any way, shape, or form. And now I'm like, all right, let's throw on a little Gary V. I need a kick in the pants.
It's so funny you brought up Gary V because simultaneously while I was reading the 4 Hour Work Week, I was also reading Crush It.
Yep.
And just binging his podcast and whatever content he had online. And currently I don't even know if resonate's the right word, but I don't consume his content as much as I used to.
Yeah.
But it was kind of that jarring, like, get off of the damn couch and do something, basically.
Yeah.
And I needed that. I needed that kick in the butt at the time.
I think it's okay to go through seasons. It's okay, like for a while, all of a sudden, I just need a bunch of Gary Vee content. And then you can go 3 years without listening to him and just know that's just a different season. There's someone else that you need to hear from at that time.
Exactly. But I could definitely see him not resonating with you. For most people,
But
it is a lot of cussing.
I've learned a ton from him now.
Exactly. And I it goes back to just challenging the norms and flipping the script, reverse engineering, how just exactly what you did in the beginning, seeing it from a totally different lens and committing to that journey of not all challenges are tough, and being creative and finding your joy in your creativity is what you said in the beginning. So it's this full circle, just everything.
And you can take everything in this conversation and keep bringing up the word creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Looking at the 4 Hour work week and seeing it from a creative point of view. Okay. Not to apply it literally, but how would I pull something out of that? How creatively could I use some of the concepts in there? And I will say this, if that becomes your default, creativity, once again, is a learnable skill. Mm-hmm. It's not whether you're creative or not creative. And here's the way I really see creativity. And it's nothing but a muscle.
Right.
If you're not using your creative muscle, it will be weaker. It just will. If you are intentional about going into the gym and working out every day, those muscles will grow. If you are intentional about being creative, I'm not just creative haphazardly.
Mm-hmm.
I know how much time I'm going to spend in creativity. I know when I'm going to be creative, all those types of things. It's just like setting a time on your calendar to go and work out. When are you going to be creative? I keep my creative muscle exercised and fit like nobody's business, and it's not an accident.
Right.
It's not an accident.
And it really makes the whole it makes the whole process that much more enjoyable. And
100% for me. 100%.
For me as well. You're right. I can't speak for anyone else, but it really comes down to cultivating this lifestyle and really embracing it for what it is, and not being focused so much on the lack or the surviving of it all, and I know some people's situations are a lot more difficult, but if you just take those baby steps, because if someone told me 10 years ago that it would take me 10 years to get where I'm at today, I probably would have said no. Like how you posed that question earlier, like if I give you a timeline, would you actually still follow through? Yeah. And it's just an everyday thing.
I know that there's still a better version of myself that I want to be. Now, if I knew that better version wasn't going to show up for 5 years, but I knew for a fact that better version was a better version, would I put those 5 years of work in? You freaking know I would. Okay. And you said two things that are very important to me. Number one, you said mini wins. I always, or those types of things. I always say mini wins are huge. Mm-hmm. Big, huge victories are way overrated. I'm looking for 3 mini wins per day. That's it. 3 mini wins per day. 3 mini wins per day. 3 mini wins per day. And the second thing is, you've mentioned the company name. I guess I didn't realize it's right behind my head too. But Cultivate Wins, peace, contentment, joy, gratitude, and compassion. Here's where that came from. Is I want to feel empowered. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so winning is not just something that either happens to me or doesn't happen to me. I have the responsibility to cultivate those wins. I have both the responsibility and ability to cultivate, to create those wins. And when I say that I have the responsibility, I treat it as a responsibility. Those wins affect how I can show up in front of my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those wins are around mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife deserves the best version of me every time I'm in front of her face. And guess what? I consider that my responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to be fake. It's going to be authentic. And I need to cultivate that human being that I think she deserves to have in front of her. So cultivate is being able to own it.
Mm-hmm.
Self-responsibility. And so that's where that name came from.
That is perfect. And we could talk, this could be an 8-hour, 24-hour podcast, but I think we can, let's wrap it up here because I will keep going if David lets me.
All good. It's all good.
This has been such a fruitful, motivating, empowering, just everything conversation, and I'm so glad we made it happen. Alignment is key, and much like you, I believe in collaboration over competition because
100%.
we need it. We need community, and we need people in our corners to, just help refill our cups and learn that it's okay to show yourself grace. Like, we're not all out here hitting grand slams every day, just it's okay to get a base hit or just show up and go take a swing, but you just got to try each and every day. And if there's anything else you want to touch on, David?
No, I'm going to do the same thing for an ending that I started with, and I'm just going to thank you. And I want to give props to you. Everybody, this is her 1-year anniversary for doing this, and I think we're all grateful for it. Not every speaker that she's going to have is going to be your cup of tea. I'm probably the least cup of tea that anybody wants, probably. So go listen to the other podcasts, okay? If you even made it through this far. But I'm going to say, I think you have done an amazing thing. And with these podcasts, it's not just the podcast for the moment, but it's a resource that can be used over and over again. So if you find one of her podcasts that really does connect with you, don't be afraid to come back 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 or 6 months later and listen to it again. Because I guarantee you, whoever you are 6 months from now, you're not the same human that you were when you listened to it today. Okay? It's okay to dig back into the thing that really helped you in the first place. So I just want to say thank you to you and for all that you do.
Oh, that means so much to me. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for this community that we are building together, and everyone listening and supporting. Again, just gratitude. That has been the word of this conversation. It's like I said in the beginning, it's one of my favorite words, and I'm just so grateful for everyone and for spending time with us in this conversation or any content that he and I have both ever put out. It is a responsibility that we have to ourselves, and I'm grateful you've chosen either of us in your journey to help you. So with all that said, tell the people how they could follow you, work with you, all the things. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Easiest way, you can go to the website, cultivatewins.com. You can find me on Facebook, friend me, anything that you want to do. Any place that you go, it's going to lead you to about 5 other places for you to connect with me. So I'm not going to sit here and promote myself, but you can find me on Facebook, find me on whatever the website, and whatever works for you, fantastic. If you need to reach out for any reason, I love to connect. Tons of love to all of you.
That is perfect. And to listen to this episode and other past episodes, just go to transactioncarepodcast.com, join the newsletter, join the community. It's a good time over there. And that's all I have. This has been a whole year of podcasts, 50 episodes. Can you believe that? I can't believe that.
Crazy.
So
I'm sorry. I didn't mean crazy. I meant crazy good.
Crazy good.
Crazy good.
Always crazy good. But thank you all again for your support, your love. Season 2 is on the way. Go back and stream some other episodes. Replay this one, bookmark this one. This has been one of my favorite conversations thus far. And I couldn't have wrapped up this first season of this journey for me in a better way. So thank you, David, for your time, your story, your vulnerability, all of this wealth of knowledge and everything you're offering to the world, truly, not just the real estate TC community, but just where you stand in this world is impactful and important. So thank you all. Thank you, David. Thank you, me. I want to thank me for me. We have to thank ourselves too. But with that said, this has been another episode of the Transaction Care Podcast. My name is Lillian Hernandez, but you can call me Lilly, like the flower, because we are learning and growing together. And I'm giving you the keys. There are no gatekeepers here. Care for yourself, care for your wealth. Your time is worth it. Let's coordinate. Talk soon.